Hi there, I'm Kathleen Jasper, and this is part 2 of our Praxis PE 5091 video. And in this video, we're going to use our good words, bad words strategy that we talked about in part 1, and we're going to apply that to test questions for the exam. Let's get started. All right, so now we're to the last objective here. Apply our strategy, our good words, bad words strategy to sample questions. I know you guys love sample questions. What I'm going to do is break down the sample questions from the study companion. You may have already gone through these before, but I think it's important to look at them and understand why certain answer choices are correct and why some are incorrect. So that will help you on any answer choices or any questions on the exam. All right, so let's take a look at the first one. Now, all of these are from the ETS study companion. Notice I've cited it here. So make sure you know that these are not my questions. These are ETS's questions. Now remember, when we look at an item, and this entire thing here is an item, all right, the question and then the answer choices. We do not want to start up here and go down this way. We want to start with the answer choices first. Work backwards, especially when you have like a big, long question with lengthy answer choices. Always work backwards, okay? So that's my advice to you on this test. Now, you can't always use the good words, bad words strategy because, you know, we've got content questions, things about, you know, the respiratory system and stuff like that. You're going to have to just choose the word. But on these more motivation questions, the scenario questions, those you can use the backwards design method, and I have a video on that. I'll link it up here. And of course, our good words, bad words strategy. All right. So I'm going to start here in the answer choices for this question. And I have logging the weight training data for each individual. Well, I have this word data. That sounds good. All right. Writing essays about sport rules. I just told you that's probably not going to work. Creating nutrition portfolios. All right, I like that too. And completing fitness tests. All right, B is out all the way, but I'm going to now have to read the question because I've narrowed it down to just 3. Which of the following assessment techniques, all right, I'm looking for assessment, will most likely help students set appropriate health-related goals? All right, so we have logging the weight training data for each individual, creating nutrition portfolios, and completing fitness tests. Now, I chose this one because it's kind of hard. Logging the weight training data for each individual sounds like a good thing, but we're trying to set goals. And so when we're trying to set goals, what do we need? We need like a baseline, right? In order to say, okay, here's where I am, here's where I want to be. So A is more like progress monitoring. Because if I'm weight training and I'm pumping iron and I'm writing down, oh, today I did 25 pounds and last week I only did 20 pounds, well, I can see growth. I'm monitoring my progress. But this isn't about setting appropriate goals. Setting goals is in the beginning. So I'm going to cross off A. Creating nutrition portfolios, again, is a lot like this one here. This is more of the exercise. C is more of the nutrition. If you are creating those nutrition portfolios, you're kind of tracking what you're eating and all of that, but we're not there yet. We need to set the goals. That's why I would choose D, completing fitness tests, because you complete the fitness test, right? How many push-ups can you do? How many sit-ups can you do? How many pull-ups can you do? Whatever it is. And then you log those numbers, and then you start working out and you start doing whatever you're doing in PE. Then you go back and do those fitness tests again. And if you've really worked hard, you will be surprised. I mean, you can do way more push-ups, way more sit-ups. And so that's why D is the correct answer here. I was a little tripped up on this. I almost chose A, but then I thought about it and it's like, wait, A is more of while you're doing this. This is like number 1. Then you start working out 2 and maybe 3, or 2 and 3 could probably be interchanged because you're doing those. If you're doing nutrition and training, they would probably be together. But fitness test comes first. And before you can set the goals, you got to do the fitness test. So if I can only do 20 push-ups, maybe I want to do, 40 by the end of the month or something like that. So that would be a fitness goal I could set based on my fitness tests. All right. All right, let's take a look at the next question. And if I look at the answer choice, I have small group, command, task, guided discovery. All right, I can't really do much here because I don't know what's going on. So let's read the question. Which of the following teaching styles best allow, and of course we have this term best. A lot of people say, well, all of the answer choices could be correct. No, that's not true. We're talking about the best answer, all right? Which of the following teaching styles best allows students an opportunity to reflect on what they've learned and what they need to improve on? So we're looking for reflection. This is not taking a test. This is not doing a task. So I'm going to take out B and C because command and task is more of like a test, more of like I tell you to do something and you do it. There's no real reflection there. Then we have guided discovery and small group. Now this question kind of annoys me. I think it should be worded a little bit differently. I think the answer choices should be a little bit different. But now we're down to small group and guided discovery. Now, what is guided discovery? I'm going to give you like a science example here. Guided discovery is like me taking you outside in a science class, and we're maybe observing living and non-living things. And I'm like guiding you in how you find these things. Like, oh, guys, come over here. Look at this dirt. What do we see in this dirt? Oh, are there living things in here? That's guided discovery. It may even be in sport where you're like, helping students discover new things about the sport or something like that. And that's really not reflection, because in discovery, you're going, that's crazy. Look at that. Oh, wow, look at that. Reflection is later when you say, how did I feel about this? How did I do? What can I improve on? So I'm going to cross off D and go with A. I don't love small group here. What I would probably do if I were writing this exam, and I'm not writing the exam, but if I was, I would extend these out to more scenarios. So I might say something like small group activity where students discuss the game they just played and how they could make it better, or how they could participate and use teamwork or something like that for small group. Command would be something like give a command and see if the student understands it. And task might be have a student complete a task, And then guided discovery, I might extend that out. I don't really have time to think of it right now. But that's what I would do if I were writing this. This, I think, is missing the boat, but it is on the sample test. So A is the best answer choice here, okay? Remember, the most effective, the best out of all of this to reflect, small group. You're with your peers. You're like, hey, I kind of liked it. I'm not sure how well I did. Maybe next time I can do X, Y, and Z. That's what's going on there. All right. Let's take a look at the next question. So this is a long scenario question. Let's look at the answer choices first. Implementing the school's physical education program, supporting the school's philosophy and values, creating a safe physical education learning environment. Well, there's my good word, right? Safe. Assisting other staff members to fulfill their duties. All right, so right away, I'm looking at C as my best answer here. Let's read the question stem. Remember, I'm always working backwards, so the next thing we're going to look at is this here. By preparing for classes in this manner, the teacher demonstrates the importance of, well, I still think it's C. Let's read the whole question. The physical education teacher routinely checks the first aid kit, tests the batteries in the defibrillator, checks the playing fields for holes, and inspects equipment for damage. What is the teacher doing, basically? And it is creating a safe space for physical education. Notice I didn't even have to read the question. I got the right answer before even looking at the scenario because I used my good word strategy. Now, you definitely should look over the question before you move on, but notice here, using that good word strategy helps you narrow down very, very quickly. If I started up here, it would take me 2 to 3 times as long to answer this question. Yes, it is easy because it talks about first aid kits and things like that, but if I can already zero in on a good answer choice, it makes the task much easier. All right, again, we have a long scenario question for this particular question. Here we go. Criterion reference grading, differentiated instruction, identification and recall of information, standards-based instruction. Well, recall is kind of a bad word on these tests, just so you know. Recall is like memorizing and recall. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm actually going to eliminate C just right now. Who knows, it could be the answer, but let's take a look. The question stem says this journaling is an example of journaling. Well, journaling is definitely not criterion referenced. I mean, if you were stretching, you could call it criterion reference. But remember, criterion reference is a standards-based assessment. It's about the standards. Usually it's a formal multiple choice test or short answer. It's definitely not journaling. Journaling is about your feelings and stuff. So I'm going to cross off A. And again, criterion referenced and standards-based are related because criterion referenced is a standards-based grading system. I'm not going to cross off D yet because I like standards-based is a good on my good words list, but I'm going to be a little bit leery of it because it goes with criterion. And if I cross off criterion, I'm probably not going to use standards, but let's take a look. During a physical education unit that focuses on the development of health-related fitness, a teacher asks students to keep a journal about their individual responses to 3 different types of cardiovascular activities, such as heart rate, perceived rate of exertion, and motivation, and write a journal entry on how they personally felt. Well, personally felt is not about the standards. It's actually differentiated instruction here because you're doing it by what each student feels, and journals are typically differentiated because it's about that one student who's writing in the journal. So B is going to be the best answer. And notice I pretty much narrowed it down to that before even reading. If I had just gone by journaling, I would have grabbed B right away, but you always want to check just in case, right? Because sometimes the questions ask you which of the following is not the best way to do this. And then the one you eliminated is actually the answer because they're looking for the non-answer. So you always want to double check, okay? All right, let's take a look at this next question here. Now I chose this because we have affective, cognitive, psychomotor, and associative. Associative is not a thing, so I'm going to cross that off. Let's talk about affective, cognitive, and psychomotor. These 3 concepts come up on every single PE exam. And really they show up on a lot of exams regardless. Now, the affective domain is about feelings. When we're talking about PE and we talk about the affective domain, we're talking about teamwork. We're talking about sportsmanship. We're talking about how things, motivation, how things make you feel. Let's do motivation here. That's the affective domain. Think about feelings, self-esteem, stuff like that. The cognitive domain is all about learning, right? Understanding the rules, learning the game, understanding how the movements kind of work together, that type of thing. And then psychomotor is the physical. So when you're jumping and you're moving your body, that's psychomotor, all right? Now, knowing that, let's take a look at the question. Learning about sport rules, traditions, history, and etiquette falls under which of the following domains of learning? Now, you may be tempted to choose A, affective, and I almost did that because it talks about etiquette and traditions, and that kind of goes with like feelings and teamwork and stuff like that, but you're learning, that's the cognitive domain. You're using your brain. You're learning about that. So that's why B is the correct answer. If it said that you were, discussing how sportsmanship is a good idea in sports or how teamwork makes you feel, that would be the affective domain. All right. So that one almost tripped me up for sure. It's a well-written question. The key word there is learning. Look for those keywords in those questions to help lead you to the correct answer choice. All right, let's take a look at the next one here. Let's look at the answer choices first. Using standardized instruments on basketball skills at the end of the unit. All right, well, standards is good, but standardized instruments is kind of like I don't know. I don't love it. I don't hate it. B, using district-devised assessments of skills at the end of the unit. This is usually a bad answer, even though you are required to use district-devised assessments or district-level assessments, but it's typically not the best answer. I'm going to take it off. So A and B are not my faves. I'm going to just go like this, okay? C, developing a rubric. Remember, rubric was part of our communicating expectations clearly to assess learners as they move through a unit. All right, so I like C. Counting the number of baskets made in a class game. Absolutely not. That sounds like a complete and total waste of time. C looks like it has all my good words in it to assess learners as they move through the unit. Yes, yes, yes. Love it. Let's take a look at the question. Which of the following would be the most appropriate, most, again, just like best or most effective, most appropriate way for a teacher to assess the skills of students during a basketball skills unit? Now, you might think, yeah, standardized instrument, district-devised assessment, counting the number. Those are all things we probably do as PE teachers. But remember, you want to keep those good words in mind and developing a rubric. Maybe it's Okay, yeah, you made the basket, but you might have done it granny style, right? We don't want you to do it that way. We want you to, use proper form. So maybe the rubric has what proper form you're looking for, how many baskets and so much time you're looking for, maybe a layup, what you're looking for in the layup, whatever it is. I'm not a basketball coach, so forgive me for the bad terminology here. But a rubric is going to be the best situation there. Pretty much when you see the term rubric in an answer choice, I would slow down. It's probably the correct answer. All right, let's take a look at the next question here. So, answer choices. It provides liability insurance for physical educators in case of a problem. Sounds negative. I mean, certainly liability insurance is a good thing. I have it. But, it's kind of weird. I don't know. I don't love it. I'm going to cross it off. Its website contains all the lesson plans a physical education teacher needs. Well, this is what we call strong language. All the lesson plans you'll ever need. I don't know about that. You may need some different plans. You may need to differentiate. You may not need the kind that they're using there. So I don't love B either. I'm crossing it off. Its mission is to enhance knowledge, improve practice, and disseminate current information. All right, these sound like good words to me. Enhance knowledge, improve practice. Yes, please. If I'm a teacher, I always want to improve my practice. And disseminate current information. Very good, because information changes, especially in PE. Nutrition guidelines change, all of that. So C is looking good to me. D, it is a key resource for health education teachers. Okay, let's take a look at the question. I'm going to leave it down to C and D. C is like my best answer here. I like C. Let's go with the question. The Society of Health and Physical Educators, SHAPE America, is an important resource for beginning physical educators because, and C obviously is the best answer choice here. D is okay, but it's an important resource because it's going to help beginning PE teachers enhance their knowledge, improve their practice. Isn't that what we want from PE teachers? So C is going to be the best answer choice there. And really quick about when you get these kind of association type questions on any certification exam, you might get like, why would a teacher join the Math Teachers Association? Or why would a physical education teacher join the Society of Health and Physical Educators? And really, it's for a couple of reasons. Number one, they usually have professional development on their websites, which is always good for you, which is to enhance your knowledge and improve your practice, like it says here. They usually have standards on there, the national kind of standards and guidelines. So that's always really important. And they usually have research that helps to govern the profession or govern the content area. And usually, and you can see here that that's that current information. That research is important as you're becoming a teacher because you want to stay on top of that. So whenever you get questions about these types of associations and joining those associations, keep that in mind. All right, and our final question here, let's take a look at the answer choices. It is recommended because it teaches dodging and fleeing techniques. Okay, dodging sounds like dodgeball. I'm gonna flag it. I don't like it. Dodgeball's bad. B, it should never be taught because it can result in negative experiences for students. All right, the term never is strong language. I don't know about this one either. Dodgeball is the only activity of this type that is not recommended. Only is strong words too. Oh, this is a weird question. Activities of this type are acceptable as long as they are only played occasionally. That doesn't sound good. D sounds like you're skirting something. So let's take a look at the question. Which of the following best describes the stance held by the Society of Physical Educators, SHAPE America, formerly the American Alliance for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, okay, with regard to using human targets during physical education activities? So we're asking, which of the following describes the stance with for these associations with regard to using human targets during physical education activities? Human targets like dodgeball or anything else. I would say using human targets is a bad thing in any situation. So it is recommended because it teaches dodging and fleeing. No, it's traumatic. Like you can traumatize students. So let's cross A off. B, it should never be taught because it can result in negative experiences. That is the stance. That is definitely the stance. Do not use dodgeball. Like, please, just don't. Don't do it. I know there's some funny, like I love the movie Dodgeball. I think it's hilarious, but it's hilarious because people understand how traumatizing dodgeball can be, all right? C, dodgeball is the only activity of this type and is not recommended. Not really. I mean, I'm sure there are other activities that are using human targets. I don't know what they are. Dodgeball is the one in my mind, but it doesn't matter whether it's dodgeball or something else. Let's not use little kids as human targets. Okay, just a quick FYI. And D, activities of this type are acceptable as long as they're only played occasionally. Absolutely not. So B is the best answer choice here. And I wanted to use that because, remember, you're a PE teacher. So you are loving these students. You're motivating these students. You're not embarrassing these students. You're not, doing the fat test in front of everybody. You're not calling out their weight. You're not using them as human targets. We are being cognizant that every student is different and every student needs to be loved and nurtured. And dodgeball is not a part of that. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching our part 2 of the Praxis PE 5091. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notifications button so you're notified when we upload new content. And if you have any questions or you want us to film something else, put them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and have an awesome day.